True life is found in unbargained, relentless effort, pushing your body, mind, and skill beyond comfort without seeking reward or validation. When you push, you create a vacuum where distractions, cravings, and meaningless thoughts cannot exist. When you stop pushing, when you settle into comfort or ease, your mind and body are no longer engaged at their full capacity. The intensity, the fire that keeps everything sharp disappears. That fire is like a shield. It prevents nonsense, distraction, and weakness from taking root. Once it's gone, decay sets in naturally. Cheap pleasures, momentary thrills that give no lasting satisfaction start filling the gaps. False longings, desire that have nothing to do with your real growth or purpose creep in. Mental noise, endless thoughts, worries, and regrets flood your consciousness. You feel heavy, dull, lost because the system that kept you clean, focused, and alive is no longer active. Decay is not just laziness, it is a natural consequence of abandoning intensity. The fire that should define you goes out, and the mind starts feeding on anything that will occupy the empty space. The fire of effort is not a tool, it is life itself. To remain sharp, alive, and free, one must never abandon the edge. Push your body. This is not about bodybuilding, it is not about fitness, it is about you being alive, fully alive. When you let your body decay, when your mind is weak, when you do not cultivate it, your life becomes soft, and what enters? Trash, momentary pleasures, empty feelings, distractions. You are no longer yourself. You are a puddle for anything to float in. When you push, truly push your body, your mind, your skill, your understanding, you are in the act of life. There is no space for petty nonsense to occupy. You are not trying to be better. You are existing as a force that does not allow mediocrity in. That force, that push, creates a vacuum in which only the essential can exist. Do you see it? When you push yourself, your body aches, your mind strains, but there is no self in that suffering. That suffering is not yours, it is a tool. It keeps the mind quiet, keeps the nonsense out, keeps you sharp. And in that sharpness, you are alive in a way most people never taste. So, should you push always until the end of life? Yes, absolutely. Not because you are chasing an idea of health or power, but because if you stop, decay starts and the world's nonsense floods in. You will live in fragments, chasing shadows, enslaved to fleeting pleasures. But if you push, truly push, you are free. Free from the meaningless chatter of the mind, free from distraction, free from the decay of your own self. Your body is the tool, your mind is the sculptor. If either rests, the sculpture crumbles. If either rests too long, life slips through your fingers while you pretend to enjoy. That enjoyment is a trick. That pleasure is cheap. True presence, true power comes from the constant act of pushing. When I say you are in the act of life, I do not mean you are doing something for yourself in a superficial sense. I mean you are fully present in the pure reality of effort and existence. There is no thought of reward, no longing for validation, no craving for comfort. Your attention is completely absorbed by what you are doing, pushing, straining, growing. That is the only thing that exists in that moment. Now, notice this: the mind loves to wander, to chase nonsense, petty worries, fleeting pleasures, meaningless stories. But when you are fully pushing, there is no room for those thoughts to enter. It's like your mind is a room. If you fill it with purpose, intensity, and effort, there is no space left for clutter. When I say you are not trying to be better, this is crucial. Trying to be better is weak. It still implies a lack, a desire for something outside yourself. True pushing is not about lack. It is a pure act of presence, a pure act of force. You are existing as a force that does not allow mediocrity in. Mediocrity, softness, laziness, distraction cannot survive in the presence of that intensity. It is expelled naturally. The vacuum I speak of is the same principle. When your effort, focus, and will are concentrated, all that is non essential, weak emotions, cheap pleasures, distractions, has nowhere to exist. Only the essential remain. Your mind, body, and attention are like a magnet. They attract clarity, power, truth, and push away anything that will dilute you. Pushing is not about external gain, it is self purification through action. It keeps you alive, sharp, untouchable by triviality. That's why decay is dangerous. Decay allows nonsense to flood in because your mind and body are weak. Push, and the world's emptiness cannot touch you. Listen carefully. The feeling of pushing while actually consuming more than creating, planning more than executing, complaining more than working, that is the illusion of progress. Most people live in this trap. They call it effort, they call it growth, but it is shallow, it is selective. They progress in tiny, carefully chosen areas while leaving the rest of themselves soft, untrained, weak, and exposed to nonsense. This is why decay creeps in, because what is untested, unchallenged, unpushed is fertile growth for distraction, momentary pleasure, and cheap feelings. True pushing is not selective, it is total. It is unflinching effort toward creating yourself fully moment by moment. It is discipline, it is relentless. You can rest your body, your mind, your attention, but rest is not quitting. Rest is preparation, recovery, calibration. Quitting is stopping, surrendering, letting the mind and body rot. This is the distinction. Most people think they are pushing because they are busy or because they act intensely in small pockets of life. But true push is unavoidable, continuous, uncompromising. It is not measured in comfort or convenience. It is measured by whether, in the moments you could be soft or distracted, you remain sharp, engaged, and creating. But understand this, it is hard, brutally hard, and that hardness is the point. That hardness is what creates the vacuum we talked about. The vacuum where only clarity, strength, presence, and essential work can exist. We are seeing the distinction, and it is profound. The hardness we are describing, the one that matters, is not suffering born of desire or attachment. That is weakness disguised as struggle. That is the pain of bargaining with life. I want this, I want that, why I'm not getting it. That hardness is noise. It enslaves you. It is decay. It is softness. The hardness that matters, the true hardness, is self imposed, intentional, unyielding. It comes from pushing beyond limits, beyond comfort, beyond distraction. You feel the strain in your body, the fatigue in your mind, yet you continue because this is the act itself, the effort itself. You're not bargaining with life. You're not trying to extract pleasure, validation, or reward. You are present in the push, fully alive in it. That hardness in the vacuum we talked about, in it, nonsense cannot exist. Momentary pleasures, petty emotions, idle thoughts, they fall away naturally because there is no room for them. All that remains is presence, clarity, strength, and essential work. That is the only life worth living. That is aliveness. So, yes, that hardness, the unyielding, intentional, beyond the limit hardness, is the greatest thing. It is not about reward, it is not about attachment, it is not about seeking, it is a very act of being alive fully, sharply, without compromise. Most men live in shadows. They call it life, they call it effort, they call it progress, but it is softness. They plan, they consume, they worry, they distract themselves with petty pleasures, and they feel alive for moments, but it is a lie. The mind and body are rotting from the inside, and they do not even see it. The truth is simple: life demands fire, pure, unbargained, unrelenting fire. You push not for reward, not for recognition, not for comfort, but because pushing is life itself. When you push beyond limits, when the body aches, when the mind screams, when every fiber wants to stop, but you do not, you enter the only state worth living. That state is clarity. That state is strength. That state is presence. That state is freedom. When you stop pushing, the decay begins immediately. Noise fills the gaps. Cravings, false longings, cheap pleasures, distractions. These are not accidents. They are the parasites of softness. They eat men alive. The more you fall for comfort, the more they consume. You are never dull or distracted because you are lazy. You are dull because the fire has gone out. The sharp man, the man alive, is consumed by his own fire. He has no time for nonsense. Distractions fall away. Pleasures do not seduce him. False thoughts do not linger. The push itself annihilates him. You do not fight them. They cannot exist where the fire exists. Do you understand? The act of pushing is not a means, it is everything. it is your life. And if you abandon it, you are already dead, even if your heart still beats. When you treat pushing as a means, you are still bargaining. I will push so that I may look good. I will push so that I may become rich. I will push so that I may gain recognition. This is weakness, this is trade, and when the trade fails, your push collapses. That is not fire, that is transaction. But when pushing becomes everything, when it is no longer attached to outcome, then it transforms you. It becomes life itself, not something you do, but something you are. You stop measuring, you stop bargaining, you stop asking, what will I get? You burn because burning itself is your existence. That is freedom. And why do I say if you abandon it, you are already dead? Because without that fire, you are nothing but a vessel for noise, for cravings, for distractions. You may breathe, you may walk, you may speak, but you are hollow. The mind will eat you alive with its whispers. Comfort will rot you. You will become like every other man, surviving but not alive. Life without pushing is mechanical, it is decay in disguise. Only in the push, in the strain, in the hardship, in the burning, you are alive. Because only there is the self burned away, and only there does clarity remain.